nervous. I've got lots of notes. I'm sorry. There's lots to say, and such a touchy subject. I have to have it all written down to try and focus a bit more because I'm just looking at you. Oh crap. So anyway, right, okay. So I'm Caz Buckingham, Patch for short. It was my nickname in the army, and it was the nickname I took when I entered roller derby, of which I have two of my fellow roller derby participants with me, and they've stuck by me. I played roller derby for 6 years back in New South Wales and here in Queensland, right up until the moment I was forcibly removed in 2020 by Sun State Roller Derby for voicing my opinion on social media. It was my opinion that male bodies do not belong in women's sports. For that, I was canned. It happened quite quickly. So the post was about biological man, Callum Mounsey, who is now Hannah Mounsey because he grew his hair and grew some boobs, which is not hard for a big man to do. Anyway, so he is 6'3", 120 kilos. You've seen him. He's massive. And he was suing the women's AFL for not letting him play with the women. And I basically just commented, good for you, men shouldn't be playing in women's sports. So, and that was completely based on my life experience, no expertise. I've not done any studies. I saw the post and I just said, what we all think, that man should not be playing against or with women. It's not fair. So, due to their advantages from speed, and it's obvious, we all know. So a bit about my sport, which is roller derby. It is ultra physical. It is two teams on a track, on quad skates, just throwing themselves at each other. The idea is to get through the other people. So it's very physical. It is all hands. It is grabby. Digits get missing into orifices. Both sides, it happens. But you know what? It's what happens. And you think that's absolutely madness, but I loved it. And even though it was when we played, it was just women. There were many broken bones, tears, sprains, bad bruises. We've all got pins and we've all had physiotherapy. We've had it all. We all have. We've had concussions. We've had it all. So that's just women on women. So considering all that you know, would you let a man like Hannah Mounsey, put on some quads and join in? Basically, who would? Even men think that's disgusting because they're men and they wouldn't do that. So most men wouldn't put themselves in that situation. Yeah. So now you know what roller derby is. Basically, after the post, which was just a to and fro between myself and a former competitor who I thought was my friend, we were having a backwards and forwards, and I just ended it. And she sent one of my posts completely out of context to my league, and within 3 days, I got an email saying, "Your transphobic views on social media go against our constitution, and you are removed from the league. We will pay back all your fees," and that was it. So even though the initial confrontation was quick and swift and over within 20 minutes, it was horrible, and I just deleted it and went. The bullying and intimidation is what followed, and that went over a prolonged period. So it was the roller derby community as a whole, and this is worldwide. They're all very linked and they're all very vocal, and I thought very feminist. That's what I thought from us wearing fishnet tights and crazy makeup and just going for it, you know. But it turns out not quite. The Sun State Roller Derby posted on their page, we would like to announce we've removed one of our players from the team for transphobic views. Then it came with the well done, thank you for supporting us, that's great, you did a great job. And I basically posted, wow, just shutting a woman down for just voicing her views and just attacking her and removing her. Great feminism. And that's when the abuse started. It went on for 3 days. I was called a TERF, a murderer. I was called an instigator of suicide and all this shit. Anyway, after that 3 days worth of absolute hounding me, even personal posts to me, they decided to remove it. And it took me about 3 months to get we are regretful of the actions of people on our page. That's what I got no Anyway, after the initial shock of that, I put in a grievance to Sun State due to what I consider they did it to me. They got rid of me and they put a post up and they allowed 3 days worth of abuse. I put a grievance into them, and I put a grievance into Women's Flat Track Roller Derby Association, which is the governing body across the world. And it was over a year ago, and I've not yet received even an acknowledgement of, we accept it and we'll look at it and we'll get back to you. That's over a year now. So nothing. So I turned to Queensland Human Rights Commission, because it does state in their rights, if you look it up, it's completely available online. If you look it up, it says discrimination against the sexes is not allowed. But there are in some cases, one of them being in sports where sex has an advantage or a disadvantage due to speed and strength. So even though, despite this statement, it counts for nothing, and I'll tell you why. Because some state roller derbies are not-for-profit, they can't intervene or do anything about it. So what this means is that not-for-profit organisations, so all your sports organisations, have a carte blanche to just treat its members however they want, and they are completely consequence-free. There's nothing you can do about it. You can say what you want, but if it's not within their constitution, which is about, it says discrimination, and it puts in there discrimination against the trans community, but it doesn't say anything about discrimination against women. They don't really care about the women, even though it's Women's Flat Track Roller Derby. So these people can nominate themselves to get on these boards of sports teams, and they can just do whatever they want, and they can campaign against individuals and just spearhead, and just, yeah, there's just no regard to the people involved, absolutely no regard. So, yeah, everyone I lodged my complaint to, all three, have totally disregarded me, the truth backed by science. They don't want to hear it because it doesn't follow the narrative. So it's pretty horrific, but I found out that I have no opinion, no beliefs. My worries and discomforts mean nothing, and I can't say what matters to me. So, if you want to play roller derby, you can't have an opinion. That's where you are. Anyway, so yeah, the trans community can't be discriminated against, of course, but women free to discriminate against all they want, and that's where they are. They say, believe people can change sex or you're gone. That's basically, it should be under their title, so that everybody knows, if you want to play your sport, keep your trap shut, because you can't play if you have a voice. So the global reality is that men are taking up women's places on the team. That's where we are. Men are stealing women's chances to represent themselves, their abilities, and their passions in something that they have trained their whole lives to do. They've put everything on, and now with this, they now have an unacceptable level of standard and risk put to them now. And men do have this in their own category, but now they have the women's category to dominate as well. So now we have the men's category and the mixed category. So that's where we are right now. So anyway, sorry. I do think about the other way. Would a woman join in a purely man's team? I think maybe they would, if they had the stature for it and they wanted to prove themselves and they wanted to play up and really have a go at training against people of their own level. But I don't see that lasting long, because they would be left behind. They wouldn't be picked for the team. They'd be at the bottom. They would be ostracised by the men, because men are as proud of their teams as we are. So they wouldn't want some woman who is breast binding just joining in. They wouldn't want that. They'd know that, and they wouldn't want that woman in their changing rooms. I'm making assumptions, but that's all we've really got in life, assumptions, and based on, anyway. So So my big takeaway from this is men and women are not equal in sports, right? So this whole ordeal has opened my eyes to what's happening, and I'm amazed that there's such a massive amount of support out there of like-minded women and men. My husband, who came in late, bless him, but there he is. There he is. But it's like everything. Until it's dumped in your lap, you don't know that these sort of atrocities exist. And yeah, I don't know. I've moved on now. I don't know where I am. Anyway, I've had lots of help from feminist groups on Facebook mainly, just talking about the misogyny and the mistreatment of women. And I have to admit that before all this, I did not know it was going on. I don't know how many men in dresses I've ever seen in my life, physically seen. I've seen them on telly and whatever, but I just did not know how many there are out there, because it's now been openly, it's that they're free to express, whereas I think they used to keep it closeted, but now they can invade women, which is just gross. Anyway, during all this, I've discovered personalities that I align with, J.K. Rowling and the fantastic late Magdalene Burns. She's fantastic and all over it. Also, Kelly Jean Keane, Posey Parker, if you know her, was standing up for women. She's amazing. I love her YouTube videos. She's so funny. I love her. Scott Nugent, who was a man who trans to a woman and has now gone back, and he just speaks out about the horror the children go through now. And he's great, and he's banned from Facebook. But he's never on Facebook because he's constantly banned. And then Graham Lynham, who is he's an Irish actor and writer, and he did loads of sitcoms back in Britain. So if you've ever watched Father Ted or Alan Partridge or any of them, he's had a hand in all them. So, and they're all great. But I realised that many other women during this from roller derby think and believe exactly like me, and I have had personal messages from some of them saying, what's happened to you is horrible, but I can't publicly be seen supporting it, because they'll do the same to me. So they're afraid, but they still support me, and it's great, but I also dislike them a bit for just not. Come on, I thought you were tough, just say it. But I get it, if they're my own friend got attacked for being my friend by a former friend of hers, how can you be friends with Patch? She's disgusting, she's this, she's that, the other. So even my friends have been attacked, so it's not fun. It's not fun being my friend. Anyway, it's
totally fine.
You know, after what's happened to me, the systemic and institutional bullying and the group think, you know, if you've read 1985, I've read that since all this happened. It seems like the quieter and the weaker among us just dare to speak for fear of intimidation, and we know that. But yeah, we all just need to stand up and start saying some things. I don't know how long I've been rambling on, I'm sorry. But I was kicked out of my sport, my beloved sport of 6 years that I put my heart and soul into. I trained 3 times a week. I used to drive over an hour to training. My kids were young when I started. I had to take them to training sometimes because my husband worked away. If we had a game on a Saturday, it was a whole day thing. It's an event. It's morning to night, and then there's the drinking, so you know. That's mainly what it's about. But it's an all-day event, and then so your whole Saturday's gone, and Sunday's gone, and that was some of my weekends. And it was great, I loved it, and I did it, but it did, you know, it affected my home life. So, you know, it caused a few arguments, didn't it? Anyway, despite all that, I've had between us three, I don't know how many injuries we've had, but my collective injuries have been hospitalised and things like that, and I wouldn't give any of them away. They were great and they made me who I am today. But as a result of being removed from my sport, that alone is awful. Just some of my friends that still play, just seeing them play, it's awful. But not only that, it was the bullying, the pro-am bullying. What I had to do was delete everybody off my Facebook page that I'd ever associated with through Derby, because I was just fear of them copying anything I did, you know, copying and using it against me again. Tried to remove all those people, just to completely get rid of them. But it's left me with mental health issues. I had to go on antidepressants, and I had to see a therapist, which really helped because I actually went to the therapist, and I didn't know it was because of this. And it's talking to him. He said it started just after this happened, and that's where I am. So what I've learned about this is rights, genders, opinions, and language, and just how much they matter. I'm urging everybody. I mean, everybody here, I'm sure, has had a voice on this, but it's anybody else beyond this, urging them to speak up and say something. But back to the start of this, one of the terms I got was TERF, and I did not know what a TERF was. I had to look up what a TERF was. Now, we all know what TERF means and what it means to the activists, but what it actually means is women who dare stand up for women. That's what you get when you get called TERF. So in conclusion, inclusion by exclusion. That's what happened. It's broken. It's completely broken. And feel free to put out your disgust to Sun State Roller Derby or Women's Flat Track Roller Derby Association. But believe me, they won't get back to you, because a lot of my friends did contact them about the abuse I suffered, and they didn't get back to them either. They don't seem to want to know about those sorts of grievances against them. But yeah, have a great weekend, everybody. And I'm on Facebook, although I'm 26 days into a 30-day ban, so I won't be on for a while. But I am on Get, and thank you all for listening. Thank you so much. And I hope you've all had a great weekend. And that was me.
Thanks.